Chief John Toom, thank you for coming today for this briefing. We go over numbers and we go over different things, and I think it's important that we provide updates for the public. It used to be an annual thing, and we kind of, with Mayor Tanakin, decided it should be biannual because this is a thing people talk about, they want to know about, and we want to give information and, again, give it in a way that we can provide some context as well. So if you look at this as calls for service, what you'll see is stability in our calls for service. We typically run about 130,000 calls for service per year, so keep in mind this is January from August year to year. But we look at this trend, and we've been doing different things like online reporting, different ways where we can be more efficient with our officers to make them available for more emergency calls as opposed to non-emergency calls. As the city continues to grow, I think one of the things we look at the numbers per capita and different things there is we've essentially, in this time frame we're talking about, added an Aberdeen to our city. Right, the third largest city within South Dakota, and that's what we've added. Yet we still maintain stability, but we have to find other efficiencies as well, especially as our city grows. So look for that as we try to explore different ways to be more efficient and make sure that we're available for high priority incidents with some of these calls for service. Next is we get into homicides, and this is the one that grabs everybody's attention because, again, they're huge, impactful events, and this is our 5-year trend. We sent out a press release yesterday about a homicide that took place yesterday, and we're not ready to speak about that yet, but this afternoon we'll be able to get into some more detail with this case. If you look at that, between 130,000 calls for service a year, I believe last year we ended on 16, which is why we get the year-end numbers when we look year to year, because we're entering into the fourth quarter of the year, if you look at it that way. So what trends we'll see, what other numbers we'll see. But one thing remains true with homicides, it grabs public attention. But here's what I can tell you. It's people who know each other, are known associates of each other, typically are consuming alcohol together, or there's some other issue where people know each other. The random issues or random homicides are not something that we're seeing a trend that's alarming. We can look at every single one of these cases, look at the facts, look at the people involved, and say, yeah. And I think sometimes we get pressed on these questions about is there any public safety danger when they're asked about these incidents, and that's where we can look and say, yeah, here's how these have played out. So we'll continue to look at these and obviously work with our partners at the State's Attorney's Office for prosecuting these cases. But again, like I said, we went from it ebbs and flows, year-to-year changes, and we'll see where next year brings us on that. Here's a really positive trend. If we look at assaults, we saw from 2020 on kind of a steady tick up, but now we're seeing that trend reverse. We're seeing numbers go down. I think aggravated assault domestics in particular is something that we've highlighted, and just aggravated and domestic as a whole, seeing close to a 31% decrease in this period of last year. Not 31, 14%. So again, seeing these positive trends move in this direction, we're constantly hearing about, okay, well, Sioux Falls is this or Sioux Falls is that, driven off public, or I should say perception. But we do have to lean into facts. We can't let perception dictate or glorification of some of these ideas dictate what the reality is. So here's what the reality is showing us, and we're seeing positive trends there. And again, that comes with collaboration with our partners, collaboration with prosecution, but collaboration with nonprofits. Nonprofits help people break the silence or the cycle of domestic violence. I think we're seeing effective nonprofit work within our community. They're supporting victims and getting them to the point where they can make that brave stance to get out of some bad relationships. Next one is robberies. Again, stable. We see these numbers and these trends is pretty flat. Sioux Falls used to be known for its casino robberies, right? And that's what drove some of those numbers back in the day. We're not seeing those trends. These are a lot of person-to-person interactions. There are some of these robberies and some that involve businesses, but we haven't seen a spike in some of the gas station or casino robberies that we've seen in the past in Sioux Falls. This is maybe my favorite slide to talk about, stolen vehicles. Can't wait for the end of the year numbers. From 23 to 24, I think we saw close to a 15% reduction in stolen vehicles. Now keep in mind this is January to September 15th, these numbers. The trend from 2023 is dramatic. And how does this happen? Happens with public education, repeat messaging from either ad campaigns, from Pocket and Lock It, from our press briefings. We're continually saying this, to identifying also the people who are stealing vehicles and making sure they're held accountable. We'll get to that later in another slide, but again, this collaborative effort that we've partaken in as a community is showing absolute results. But I'll tell you this, every weekend, when I look at the reports for stolen vehicles, they're down. But what's the continuing trend? Unlocked, keys left in them, right? So there's still more work we can do to make sure we take care of this. So again, we kind of keep our foot on the gas a little bit and make sure that we're continuing the messaging, get tired of us saying it again and again, but again, we're seeing great trends in stolen vehicles. So again, we brought you into our real-time information center, and we're just getting this rolling in a built-out sense, and so far it has been remarkable the impact it has had. And this is what I was kind of hitting to a little bit with stolen vehicles. In the past, a lot of times our stolen vehicles were recovered unoccupied. With our information in our real-time information center, we're able to make arrests of people inside stolen vehicles. We're identifying who's doing it, we're putting them and getting them within this court system, and that has a tangible benefit. Again, we've recovered over 23 stolen vehicles using this technology, freed up using our camera network and systems 113 calls, so officers didn't have to go because we could use technology to say, yep, that call's not an issue or that's taken care of. And we're just getting this program to get more momentum, find staffing. It's kind of been staffed at a part-time basis as we can, but as we have people who are available or injured, we put them into this position or role. And even this morning, we helped it use and solve the hit and run with the cameras and technologies. So it's emerging. It's going to help us hold people accountable, but also, again, keep people to a safer Sioux Falls. Drugs seized. I'm just going to go over this briefly, but you can kind of see that's marijuana and methamphetamine. We talk about tons of other drugs. Meth is always here. I think fentanyl gets a lot of attention. Other things get a lot of attention, but meth is pretty steady and consistent in our part of the world. Here's what's not, though, from a seizure standpoint. On the next slide, we'll see that some of our fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine is way down. Now, it's not for lack of effort, but we do see a disruption to supply that's therefore translates to a different kind of drug climate. Back to my previous statement, meth has always been there. We can probably dig deep into this as it goes. There's multiple contributing factors, but again, we're seeing a decrease within some of these drugs. I think part of it too is demand down, is public education about fentanyl, doing some really positive things to say, okay, people aren't seeking it like they were. It's not the drug that it was highly sought after. We'll always have people who are seeking drugs, but again, this isn't encouraging, and I think we're also seeing the combination of education, law enforcement efforts, in collaboration to potentially see a disruption in this trend. This is incredibly positive. We haven't had the big seizures that we've had in previous years. Going to overdoses, we see this play out here a little bit too. Again, any overdose is too many, but look at the first overdose page. That's just ones we've responded to. We've seen a downward trend in overdose calls that we've responded to January through August. Again, deaths, we've seen them decrease. There's still too many, but again, we're pretty stable there. And just Narcan, we even talked about if we even report how often our officers use Narcan anymore. When we started reporting this, it was kind of special and unique that we were carrying it and deploying it. Now it's so widely spread and available. We'll obviously still continue to carry it as part of the whole package. But again, our Narcan deployments are way down, and I think there's multi-factors there, but again, worth noting. And then I believe that concludes some of our stuff. We'll give you more slides later with some more numbers that's part of your package.